I will say I am based, so everyone knows, right outside of Philadelphia in Conshohocken. So I am local, which is why I get the opportunity to come to some of the in-person PRLA meetings. I also spent 20 years in hospitality. So I've run restaurants. I managed a 100-store chain. And so a lot of what you'll see here is in this new application is really done through the lens of having kind of stood behind the line and worked in restaurants and really doing whatever we can to help standardize operating procedures and make restaurant operations more efficient. So the objective of the app is really to digitize those standard operating procedures, provide access to training, information, give some data on employee performance, and also increase the efficiency of onboarding and also employee engagement. So what you see in front of you is really the tech stack. It is our features and functionality of the application. I'll start with task consolidation and say that what that is a checklisting tool. So think of all the things that you do in your specific restaurant every single day. We're going to digitize those in the app. So this is customized for your restaurant or your restaurant organization. So think opening, closing, midday, restrooms, manager checklists will all be put into the application. And so here's what I will say about checklists. I love checklists. I have them everywhere. They were hanging when I was running restaurants on laminated sheets in my stock room. And my staff was responsible for things on there, as was I every day. I also have checklists all over my personal life, much to the chagrin of my two small children. But what is a checklist if we don't remember to do it? Or in the case of restaurants, I used to say I would get to the restaurant in the morning and all the things on those checklists were really important for food safety, customer service, sales building, and then 8 million things would happen, right? Truck would show up, 2 people would call out. So how do I remember to do them? And then also have the time to delegate the things that need to be done by my staff. That's where our nudging comes in. It's a reminder. So let's take an example. If you have a breakfast restaurant, let's say that your opening checklist starts at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday and 7 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. The people responsible for completing that for that checklist that we would set up with you will receive a nudge at that time that says, hey, do this thing. And we can set those nudges up almost like an Outlook reoccurring invite, so they can happen daily, weekly, monthly, every hour, every 3 hours. Again, this is all customized for your specific restaurant. There's an issues feature of the application, and that's really just to say, hey, if the back door to the outside doesn't close the way it should, somebody snap a quick picture and let a manager know so we can get that fixed. There is a training section of the application as well. And so you're going to take all of the training that you have for your specific restaurant group, and we're going to show you how to upload it into the application. So think onboarding elements, think recipes. We can put that all in there. And then you can say, hey, I want my new employees to watch the following 5 videos in their first day of employment. They do so right on their phone. And then you get a record of the manager dashboard of whether they viewed them or not. Now, in addition to your customized training section, the National Restaurant Association has really set the foundation of a training library in this app. So there are over 80 restaurant training videos that come standard with the app. There are 6 COVID videos, 3 in English and 3 in Spanish, on delivery, takeout, and de-escalation. And then there are just 80 standard training videos, things like how to calibrate a thermometer, how to put a truck away, how to deal with an upset customer, how to chop an onion. So those are all, you have access to those as well. There is a work text or work chat feature. It's really an internal communication tool. So restaurant workers talk to each other via text all day long. If we can move those conversations that are work related to a work platform, then we can organize them and also as managers have access to them. So we could set up groups similar to WhatsApp. So think a dishwasher group, a delivery driver group, a manager group, and they can communicate back and forth about things happening at the restaurant. For managers, they can almost use it like a digital red book. And then there's an information or news section, which is exactly what it sounds like. And so we have taken industry information from the National Restaurant Association, recalls from the FDA, COVID updates from the CDC, and we've uploaded those in here as a standard part of the app, but then you would put information or news from your specific restaurant group in here as well. So think if there was a holiday promotion coming up or an update to an employee manual, we could put that information in the news so that your staff would have access to it. I'm going to stop share for a quick second and bring up the application so that you can see it in action. Okay, so you will see that there's a logo at the top of the application. That would be your specific logo. Again, this is a customizable app for your group. So we really want it to feel for the employees like this is something just for them. In this messages section, those nudges that I talked about earlier are more than just reminders for checklists or training. We can also use them to disseminate information to the staff and then get a response back. So here's a poll nudge, for example. If you had multiple restaurants and you wanted to share best practices and let's say, what is the best method for employee recruitment you've used in the last 30 days? They can, oh, I'm sorry, here it is, the feedback. They can go in, put in an open-ended response, and you'll get those right in the dashboard so that you could then collect them and share best practices across the system. There's a direct nudge for sending information. So here's a link attached to the CDC for the most recent COVID guidelines. And not only are we going to send it to the staff, but they're going to say, got it. Similarly, a poll nudge. Please confirm you've reviewed the most recent rollout guide for a limited time offer menu item. And we can attach that rollout guide to this nudge. And they're going to say yes or no. And then you'll be able to go into the dashboard and see who has taken a look at those things so that you can manage to exception, almost like a digital shift meeting. I'll go in here to the checklist section and just show you kind of how easy it is to say yes or no. I'll pause for a moment. You'll see that there's a link on the left-hand side that says checklist details. This is really so that we can actually embed a micro-learning right in the app. So for a more complex task, for example, when I was running restaurants, I used to have a deep cleaning checklist. And on the second Monday of every month, they had to deep clean the oven. But with turnover, how it is now, and with staffing as short, it's hard to train everybody on all the things that we need them to know. So what if they don't know how to deep clean the oven? Instead of stopping their task, they can go right in here because we've embedded this micro learning, click on it and watch a video, read a manual, refer to a picture with notes. So the checklist tool says, here's what you have to do. Nudging says, here's when. And with this feature, we're telling them, and here's how. They can sign the bottom of the checklist here, although every checklist is time and date stamped upon completion. You'll see that there's a check mark for yes, it's been complete, but a 2 thumbs down for no. And so again, back to managing to exception, we can follow up on those 2 things instead of the entire checklist. This issues feature, I will tell you that once when I was running restaurants, there was a leak in a 3-bowl sink in the back. It flooded the kitchen floor because nobody told me about it because I wasn't in the restaurant. And so we are going to keep that from happening by empowering employees. You guys will see my water and my morning coffee to call out an issue when it happens. So they're going to snap a picture, annotate that picture for where the exact issue is, save the image, mark it as urgent or normal, and then select a category like cleanliness as an example. And again, that rolls right up into that manager dashboard in real time. So they can prioritize, call for service, mark as complete, and then again, really take a look at some data that says over the last 30 days, I had 15 food safety issues. Maybe that's the focus of my next shift meeting. The news section again is links. Here's a link to the FDA as an example, but we would put your specific information in here with you in addition to the industry information that we populate. The training section has those trainings from the National Restaurant Association that I spoke of. It'll also have your specific training. And then you'll also be able to go in and your staff will be able to get app refresher training. So if they don't remember what a nudge is, they can go right in here as a reference guide, and then they'll click, I have completed the training, and you'll get a record of it. So from an ease of onboarding perspective, we can track who has done the things that they need to properly get trained to start working. And then the last thing I'll show you in the application is really the library. And this is anything that you would want the staff to have access to in real time. So think about inputting all of your recipes in here, and it's all saved on a secure cloud. Then we could categorize those recipes. So if a staff person was on the line, they could search for sandwiches or a specific sandwich and bring up the recipe right there, almost like a pocket manual. And you can really update it in real time as well. And we'll pop back to the presentation for just one quick moment. Then we'll open it up for some Q&A. So let's talk a little bit about the application responding to today's environment. You've already heard me talk a bit about employee onboarding and engagement. Really digitizing what you do from an onboarding perspective will help onboard faster, and then continuing engagement through nudges and ongoing training will help employees feel like they're part of something. It will help encourage tenure. And there's a ton of flexibility in the technology as well that we can figure out. So staff would download this on their personal phone, or I've had some restaurants say, I just want one iPad in the back of the house for everyone to use, and then my front of the house staff can use their phones. And so we can set it up that way as well. So the good part, because you are a PRLA member, we are offering this free for 6 months. That promotion actually runs out at the end of March. So we are on a limited timeline for the free 6-month trial. And I want to say a couple things about free. There's no long-term contract with 6 months free. It's literally just a 6-month free contract. It is also unlimited users and unlimited data. So whether you have 2 users at your restaurant or 10,000 users, it's the same cost. And the same goes for the checklist. We've seen some of our competitive set, they'll have a limit on users. You pay one price for up to 10 and then more after that, or one price for up to 10 checklists and more after that. I'm a firm believer in rewarding more people and more process. Now, after the 6-month promotional period, there is a cost. Our street pricing is $89 per restaurant per month, but because you're a PRLA member, you get it for $40 per restaurant per month. And that would be a year contract that you would sign, and it would still be unlimited users and unlimited data. So what happens next? If you are interested, you reach out to me, and my information is on the screen. I will also put it in the chat for you. And we can get you set up with a contract ASAP. And then you would work with our operations and deployment team, and they would train you on how to upload your information, customize your checklist, send nudges, look at data and reporting. And then we would train your staff on here's how you use the application. They would download it. It's free. It's a free download from the App Store or the Google Play Store. And they would self-register, name, email, phone, put in a 5-digit code that is unique to your restaurant, and then all of your information would pop up. Now, you would have access to them from the user manager side in the administrative portal, so that if they left your employment, you could delete them as a user. And we also have a hierarchy. So if you are a restaurant group with multiple restaurants, we can have kind of a parent-child relationship where we can control some of the things that happens across your restaurant group. The whole thing takes no more than a couple weeks to get you set up and running. So I will open it up for questions now.
Jenna, do you have any sense about how long the initial commitment for setup is time-wise?
You mean how much time it would take you to set it up?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it depends on how much information you have, candidly. What I've seen a lot of restaurant groups say is, so from our perspective, we can have you trained up and running in, let's say, a week. And it just depends on how much you have to upload. And then we could always do that slowly. Like I've seen some restaurants say, I'm going to start with my checklist. And as I'm doing the checklist, start to upload some of the trainings. But it's a very easy upload process. And again, it's all really secured on a cloud service. So it doesn't take that long at all.
Thanks. Yeah, it definitely seems like building the behavior of usage is a bigger commitment than adding content for sure, right?
100%, right? I think that like most humans don't love change. And so there is a period where it'll take your staff some getting used to, which is why we suggest starting with a few things and really getting them into this habit every day of, I'm going to get a nudge, I'm going to do a checklist, someone's going to look at it and then follow up with me. And so that part I would say is probably the hardest internal part, is just getting the staff to adopt it. Any other questions? Okay, well, my information is in the chat. And again, the promotion for a free, no obligation 6 months ends at the end of March. So I would love for all of you to take advantage of that and reach out and we can get you started. But thank you so much for allowing me to attend your meeting today.
You're welcome, Jenna. Thank you very much for the information.
Yep.
For sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have our panel discussion. Heidi, I'll turn this over to you to introduce our panel.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Actually, before we get to that, I think since there's so many really cool people and some new ones on this call, maybe if you don't mind, I go around and you can just, I'm going to call you out and you can just say who you are and what you do, like maybe 2 sentences. And I'm going to start with Tammy because she's the first one on my screen. Don't forget to unmute.
My name is Tammy Portner-Smith, and I am the general manager at Bird in Hand Family Inn.
We've already heard from Teresa Miller, who's on my, but you can say where you're from if you want to say.
I'm with Dommel's Hotel Management.
Todd Lewis, who he's a panelist, but maybe you can just introduce yourself and say where you're from.
Hello, I'm Todd Lewis. I'm the chef instructor for the Department of Corrections Training Academy for the inmate culinary program.
And next I have Jay Barry.
I'm Jay Barry. I'm the sales director for Fastest Feedback, and we help businesses get real-time, real-world anonymous feedback from guests, customers, and employees.
And we have Heidi Galbraith-Kerms.
I'm Heidi Galbraith-Kerms from the Warehouse Hotel at Spooky Nook Sports. I'm the general manager.
Rob Comro.
Hi, I'm Rob with Leaded Springs Inn and Bull's Head Public House.
Jeremy.
Hello, Jeremy Geib with the Residence Inn by Marriott next to Wegmans, and then representing High Hotels Limited.
Tom Neely.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. Tom Neely with the Thomas E. Strauss, which is Miller's Smokehouse, Amish View, multiple retail operations, and your chairman of the board.
Also the chairman. Jodie Stetz.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. My name is Jodie Stetz, and I'm the Vice President of Human Resources for Talent Management Services, which owns Lehigh Valley Restaurant Group and Red Robin Restaurants.
Jonathan.
Jonathan Snavely, independent marketing consultant.
Zack Bodnarchuk.
Hi, I'm Zack. I'm the senior manager of talent acquisition for Talent Management Services in Lehigh Valley Restaurant Group. I work with Jodie.
Natalie.
Hi, I also work with Jodie at Lehigh Valley Restaurant Group and Talent Management Services, and I'm the senior HRBP.
Pam Fink, my office mate.
Go ahead.
She's my office mate. TJ.
Hi, I'm TJ Quinn, food service director at Kitchen Kettle Village.
Doug Graybill.
Doug Graybill, Fox Days Golf Club owner.
Daniel Yoakum.
Daniel Yoakum, I'm the director, or not, sorry. I'm the food and beverage general manager for Mount Hope Estates, Mazza Vineyards, and Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair.
And they did an awesome job on their chapter installation. Thanks again. Abby.
Hi, I'm Abby Siegel Greenberg with Miles Partnership, and I head up all the advertising programs for the PA tourism site and the Happy Traveler Guide.
Scott Brodock? Are you there? There he is. Scott? Oop, we might come back to him. B. Weaver. Sorry, there's no first name there. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Susan Shaw. Did we lose a couple people? And there's someone on the phone with the last four digits, 6730. Okay, well, if I missed anyone, please shout out or introduce yourself in the chat if that's easier for you. I should say my office mate Pam actually is one of our newest teammates here, about 3-4 months now, and she has been actively working with the chapters and setting up these panels, and it's been great. So thank you, Pam. And finally, Ben Felicia.
Finally. Hey guys, how are you? I've been waiting patiently. I don't have stage fright like some of the other folks on this call. So I'm Ben Felicia. I'm the Senior Director of Operations here at the PRLA, working out of Harrisburg today, which is fantastic to spend some time with the team up here. Luckily, they had a desk all ready for me to go. So yeah, as Heidi said, Pam has put together some panels this month that have really been fantastic. You know, in 2019, you know, one of our biggest issues in 2019 was labor and finding employees and retaining employees. So it's not a huge surprise that we find ourselves post-pandemic or after these past 2 years and 2 years and 1 week, that we find ourselves in a similar predicament, right? Where we're still struggling to staff up. We're still struggling to retain staff. We lost 25% of our industry, 25% of our workforce to other industries. You know, so it's really taken us a moment to start thinking outside the box a little bit. And we've been fortunate enough to partner and to get some feedback from some really interesting groups around the state. You know, I come from restaurant operations myself, and I know it was always a struggle for me to find great staff, and the folks that are doing it well, and the folks that are making us all think outside the box are certainly going to help this industry recover and get us all back on our feet and fully staffed up. A couple people that we've had on the call previously, and we'll share their information. We did have on prior calls the PA Recovery Organizations Alliance. We can share their information with you in a follow-up to this meeting, and also Drug Free Workforce PA, two great associations that, again, historically, you know, we weren't working with. We weren't looking at them to staff our restaurants and our hotels and our catering and event facilities. But, you know, we find ourselves now, you know, really searching for the best options. So we're quite fortunate today to have Todd Lewis back with us and the amazing team from Lehigh Valley Restaurant Group, the Red Robins. They were so informative the past time, and I'm glad to have them back. So Todd, just to start with you again, I know I always put you on the spot first. But could you just tell us a little bit about what you do and how the PA Department of Corrections fits in with the hospitality of Pennsylvania?
Hey, okay. My program is I'm the chef instructor at the Culinary Arts program, one of 3 culinary programs the Department of Corrections has in the state. It's a 10-week program, Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 4:30 in the day. The inmates are chosen from all the state institutions across the state. They have to show an interest in it or have worked in the industry before. No write-ups of any kind. They have to have a GED or a high school diploma. They are then interviewed. If they are accepted into the program, they get transferred to the Camp Hill prison, and then they're bussed over to me every day, where 4 days a week, where I have them basically 36 hours a week for 10 weeks. The very first week that they dive right into the Serve Safe Manager program. They must pass the Serve Safe Manager test, which is a big help for you guys out there. Them showing up with the certificate in hand. Second week, we get right into history, culinary math, learning the ratios and how to scale recipes, the terminology in recipes. Then by the third week, we get into cooking, breakfast cookery, soups, sauces, stocks, the chickens we fabricate during the day, we make bones with the stock, or we take the bones and make stock. Then for 5 weeks, we're dry heat cooking, moist heat cooking, baking, and everything is made from scratch. If we have a recipe that calls for mayonnaise, we don't open a jar of Hellman's. We crack the eggs and make the mayonnaise ourselves here for the class. The 9th week, we set up a restaurant for them to get a little bit of the feel of the heat of a kitchen. We have set up their waiters, their cooks, their garde-manger, do a little bit of that. And then the final week, it is for graduation. They set up a buffet, and for the graduation ceremony, they design it and set it up, and for the 10th week.
That's amazing. Todd, do you stay in touch with any of your former students?
I get calls, on graduation day, they get my office number here at the academy, and I get calls, letters from them frequently, looking, just telling me where they're at and what they're doing, or asking for references or recommendations on what and where to go.
And what type of restaurants or facilities do some of your students end up in? And I guess part of that question also is, they get through your program, they're released, they find a job or a career. What are some of the different roles that they have taken on from the folks that have reached out to you to let them know where they've landed?
I've had, guys who get, start out in a pizza shop or a sandwich shop, to fine dining. Again, these guys, some of them are obviously more talented than others. Breakfast cooks, some have. I know of one who got in touch with me. He opened his own restaurant, which felt pretty good that he was able to do that. So, the wide gamut of what they can do. Like I said, some of them are, I would put on the line of any kitchen out there. Others are good start as a short order cook for you.
Right. That's fantastic. We've discussed this before, and a lot of the folks on this call, some run large restaurants, some are smaller, some have hotel kitchens. But one common thread that is definitely in this hospitality industry is when you start working for a place, you really become family. And it's not just family, but sometimes you have family working for you. Sometimes you have young college students, sometimes high school students. I'm sure there's that, there might be some trepidation about hiring an ex-felon, somebody coming out of prison to work with, what you consider family. How do you alleviate some of these fears for these operators, to encourage them to hire your students?
Well, it's there are no sexual offenders in the program, for that matter. These guys have been did their time and are looking to get out and start a new life. I've been doing this 11 years, and I can honestly say I haven't had any issues. They're very respectful, eager to learn, and hungry to get back out and and be a good part of society again.
That's great. And how many students would you say at a time go through your program or other various programs throughout the state?
Like I said, I have 9 in my program at a time. In Muncie and the women's prison, he has, I think, twice that many women because he's in that school. They're not, busing them over. So he's able to get them more frequently. And there's another chef up in Waymart who, again, his program's slightly different than mine because it's in the jail. He has them a little more frequently, but there's 3 programs across the state, specifically targeting culinary training.
That's awesome. We'll drop your contact information in the chat. So anybody on this call that wants to get a little bit more information or, want to reach out to you about hiring potential candidates can make that happen.
I will drop also the reentry specialist for the Department of Corrections. She's very good at helping to place people, including other needs that you folks may have out there. I'll put her email down there as well.
All right, great. And I think she actually may be joining us. I think she was running a little bit late on another call, but if she does pop on, we'll talk about some of those other options, some of those other career trajectories that may be offered.
Excellent.
All right. So that's kind of about thinking outside the box, right? About different avenues that we're looking now that is not traditional, not Craigslist, right? Not advertising, not not just social media as far as looking for the next staff member. So I want to talk, it's really great that we have Jodie, Zack, and Natalie here from the Lehigh Valley Restaurant Group. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've rarely come across a team that does it as well as them. Not just hiring, but retention and company culture. And I think that's really important now too, because listen, we're getting back to being staffed up now. It's not perfect, but we're in a much better place than we were, say September or October. So we have these guys here now, right? We have these employees that are going to be with us hopefully for a long time. A, how do we find them? And B, how do we keep them, from jumping ship? So again, they've already introduced themselves, but we have Jodie, Zack, and Natalie. I guess I want to start with. I guess you guys can just jump in. I know you are very well versed in all of this, but you've answered these questions before, but they were fascinating answers. So whoever wants to answer this is fine, but other than the traditional job boards that I was just discussing, what else have you guys? How else do you guys get people to come apply for Red Robin and to join your team?
Hi, Ben, I'll take that one. So we
Thanks,
have partnerships with local high schools to promote our job openings, but also to educate students about a career in hospitality that they don't need a college degree to become a salary manager for us. So I reached out to many new high schools to try to establish new partnerships. And even though we physically couldn't be there due to COVID, we still got our jobs posted on their website, or I was able to send them flyers to post around the schools. So same things for colleges, but I actually found Handshake, which is a tool to help me connect to other colleges and expand our network that some schools that we haven't, reached out to before. So I'm able to post jobs on there for students to see. And also I can find out about upcoming career fairs that are happening, either virtual or, but some are in person now, and it looks like there's gonna be more in the fall. So that's exciting. We also knew we needed to think outside the box and find new job boards. So for the last 2 years, we have established our own Diversity and Inclusion Council. And we've partnered with the Multicultural Food Service and Hospitality Alliance. So they have a job board that we utilized, and we found others like the AARP job board and hirelatinos.org. We also have a partnership with the Lehigh Valley Center for Independent Living. So we've hired many individuals with the support of a job coach, and they've turned out to be great team members for us.
Now, wow, that's really cool. Did you guys do anything because I know you guys were really trying your best to get employees. Did you guys try anything that just absolutely did not work that folks should maybe steer clear of, or just didn't work for you, and why?
So I don't think anything didn't really work that well, but we did start a guest referral program that kind of took a little while to take off, but now it's actually exciting that we're going to be doing another contest to try to bring some life back to that, because we did get some people hired from it. So that was probably the least successful, but now it's turning out to be a fun, exciting thing for this year.
Oh, that's fantastic. And tell us a little bit about that program. What is there, prizes or something involved?
Yeah,
or-
so if one of our guests refers a candidate to us, then we hire that candidate. We send the guest a $100 gift card to come back and dine with us.
Oh, that's very cool. Now, you guys also do an employee referral program too, right?
Yes, I will take that one. So we have two separate employee referral programs. We have one for team members, and then we have one for managers or support staff members. So there's a waiting period for the payout, and the payouts are different for each of the programs. If you're a team member and you refer another team member to us, we give you an LVRG recruiter t-shirt. So that's one of the ways that we advertise team members bringing their friends to us within the restaurant, and we approve this as something that they can wear to work. So it's just another uniform that they have. Anyone who refers a manager to us or a support staff member, we give them a special jacket. So that's our way of kind of promoting that within the restaurant. And for this level, we tier the bonus. So it increases as you send more people our way for that level. This is also something that we take advantage of. It's a knob that we can turn within our business. Obviously, there's ebbs and flows, and there's times that business is booming. So for example, like the summertime, we need a lot more team members. So we might make it restaurant specific or position specific, but we can increase that referral bonus temporarily just to attract more people at different times in the year when our hiring needs increase. And then that's everything about that. And then Jodie's just going to expand on that just a little bit.
Yeah, Ben, just kind of, as you mentioned about company culture, having a referral program alone most certainly is not enough, because it won't be successful for you long-term if you don't take some additional steps. So you have to take a really long, hard look at the company culture. 10 years ago, our company culture was like light years different from what it is today. You have to really root the program in your culture and make sure everybody knows about it. Your GMs are talking about it and asking questions, but also just, making your place of employment a place people want to be. And if your employees love working there, they're gonna want their friends to work there. And it just starts kind of this ball rolling downhill, and it gets easier and easier to use a referral program, because your team members want to work with people that they love, and they want to share that place with the people that they love. And so I think for me, the reason that our referral program has been our most successful resource is because people really like working here.
Why, Jodie? Why do they love working for you guys so much? And I'm not questioning you because I doubt it. I'm questioning because I hear it so often. Yeah. And there has to be, I want to hear a little bit about this magic.
Well, there's this shift in mentality. So for years, our company managed the numbers, managed the results, and it was kind of, at the, we didn't care as much about the team members as we did today, for sure. So when I took over, I didn't love working for Lehigh Valley Restaurant Group, but I wanted to love working for Lehigh Valley Restaurant Group. So I found a group of great people that wanted to help us change the culture. It has to be people first, 100% from the top down. Our executive team, our shareholders believe in that 100%. And we had to push that through the organization, and we had to start managing the people and then let them manage the performance. We did that with a hospitality mindset. So often restaurant companies are talking about hospitality to their guests, I talk about, and my team and our executive team, we all talk about hospitality towards our team members. And so many of our programs over the last 6 or 7 years have been about team member hospitality, creating that engagement, connecting people to our goals, because they, there's just a lot of goodwill and there's a respect and a trust of the people that are leading the company. And so they want to follow and they just want to stay there. And we have a lot of great fringe benefits, great, we do, we do cash for college, we do paid maternity and paternity leave. Through COVID, we did so many things through COVID to keep our employees engaged so that they knew that we care about them. They're not just a number. They are. And luckily we're small enough yet. We have 21 locations, but our executive team, our HR team, we call ourselves HR at your service. We are available 24/7, and we are in the restaurants talking to people. So it's not a bad thing when an executive shows up or when an HR person shows up, because it's a lot of the times we're there just to connect with our people.
That's awesome. I mean, you guys make it sound really easy, right? But there has to be some challenges here, as far as hiring and retaining the staff. I mean, it can't be this easy. Tell me that you guys face some challenges.
We definitely face challenges, and COVID was a complete wrench in the entire industry. So yes, we had to do a lot of things during COVID that we maybe wouldn't have normally done. But one of the things is when you are in that staffing circle and you're understaffed, it is a vicious cycle that is very difficult to get out of. And especially when a manager's been in the restaurant for a long time and they're not looking at hiring and staffing with a fresh set of eyes anymore. So your team members, they feel like they're overworked, and then you finally hire a new team member and they need time to become efficient and productive. And unfortunately, when you're understaffed, they don't always get that time. So they're then thrown into a position and ultimately not successful, and they leave, and then you're right back to the beginning of the challenge. So there's been a lot of that at different points, and it happens to different restaurants at different times. And COVID aside, it's something that happens. It's just a product of the restaurant industry. So helping people through that has been one of the things that we support with. Also, more recently, there's been just a shift in mindsets and mentalities, and people are leaving our industry altogether. They can make the same money doing what they would perceive as a less stressful job. I'm not sure if it is or not, because I haven't worked outside of this industry, but if I can make $15 on an assembly line, just doing the same thing over and over again, that might be better than working in a hot kitchen and having the demands of a restaurant job, because it's very difficult. So like I said, COVID hit our industry hard, and it just really hurt our reputation of who we are. So it made it more difficult to hire. And that is why we talk so much about retention and engagement. And we have an engagement calendar that goes throughout the entire year. And that is definitely the most important thing that we do.
That's fantastic. Now, I guess I have one more, I guess really general question, and then I'll open it up to anybody else that does have a question. And feel free to raise your virtual hand or your real hand if you do have a question for our panelists today. But you've already given us a ton of great ideas, and as media reporters always say at the end of a call, is there something I didn't ask? So is there something that I didn't ask that you could share with this group of other ideas, other initiatives, any suggestions for anybody on this call for how they can individually think outside the box when it comes to hiring or retention?
Yeah, so Natalie mentioned staffing circles. So we found that all of our managers were in that at some point during the pandemic. So we switched to an artificial intelligence-based recruiting platform. So it creates an engaging experience for our candidates, and they have a real-time conversation with our AI. Her name is Stevie, and she also schedules them an interview with our managers within minutes. So our managers no longer have to print out applications and try to call people who don't have their voicemail set up and wait for them to call back. They never do, and then they don't show up for the interview. So it's a little bit more engaging, and it also comes with a text to apply feature. So we're able to take that phrase, it's text LVRG to 25,000, and we stick it up literally on anything we can to get the word out. So our to-go business escalated very quickly during the pandemic and increased a lot. So we decided to put stickers on every single to-go box container that goes out there to get that new text to apply feature out there, because it's a conversation. It's not just like an application process.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions? Rob?
Ben, I just had something to add.
Yeah, Jody.
So the other thing that I would say is that, you know, again, I mentioned a shift in mentality, but we're not just competing with other restaurants anymore and other hospitality type of companies. You know, we basically throughout the pandemic, people started really valuing time and you know, Monday through Friday and work from home, and I don't want to work weekends. And you know, and obviously some of that we can't change, but if we're thinking as Red Robin that Applebee's and Fridays are our only competitors, I mean, that's wrong. You need to be the best restaurant. You know, you need to be the best restaurant, but you can't consider the restaurants your competitors anymore, because those are not your competitors. Your competitors are telemarketing jobs and sales jobs, and you know, everybody's looking for people, and there's going to be easier jobs available for your managers out there with a more flexible schedule and easier hours. And so you need to really think outside of the box when you're coming up with quality of life initiatives and ways to offer a better lifestyle for your people in order to get them to stay. And we're doing things like 40-hour work weeks, and you have to, you can't just say we can't figure it out. You have to figure it out, or you're always going to keep losing. You're never going to win, because you can't compete with your normal traditional restaurant you know, structure and compete with what other places are offering.
No, that's very sound advice.
Yeah, so I was part of LVRG when they really started working on all of this stuff, right? When they were really getting a handle on changing the culture. And, you know, and knowing people that are still there and working, it's true, it is a very unique environment. I think that it's easy to say, well, gosh, there are 21 units, they have resources and multiple people working as their HR professionals. And I think the flip side of that is, okay, we'll just take concepts and scale them back. What can you do as an independent? You know what I mean? It's, although the things that they're doing aren't, it's effort-based. It's not like all this money spent on tech and all these great new things. So it's, how can you find your core group inside of your space and apply these things? And I think personally, we spent a lot of time looking at, I mean, we are struggling to find line cooks the same as anybody else. And we're going into our busiest season, obviously. You know, not just how are we the best restaurant, and Jody, that was really smart the way you said it. It's what is our parallel, you know, who are we fighting for? Because it is retail. It's, and you know what I mean? It's all these other industries now. And how do you set yourself apart, for sure? And it's not just money. It's those little engagements, like that jacket and shirt thing. That was always a part of, I think, what LVRG, what they were doing. And I think it's easy to find those little, I don't want to use a bad word, but like a tchotchke, like a thing that is just showing that you are paying attention to what they're contributing, you know, what your hourly employee is contributing, and that you're paying attention and that you're grateful. And I think that's a lot of your success.
Thanks for that. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
I hate to jump in again. I have one more.
Please do. I mean, these are gems, really, Jody.
And even us. So my son works for a restaurant. It's not a restaurant. It's an ice cream, bakery, candy place. It's a small independent. And they started giving him $5 per shift of a gas stimmy, basically, to help, basically just to help pay for extra gas. They didn't ask for it. They just offered it in his paycheck yesterday. Came home that said, we're going to be giving you $5 per shift gas money, but now we're going to give it to you in the form of a bonus, and you'll get it after Easter as long as you work all your shifts. So now they're kind of using it as an incentive to show up and be diligent and do your job. And I mean, they're doing creative things. They don't have a whole lot of money. They don't have a whole lot of employees, but they're coming up with some really creative things too. And it just kind of shows you have to think outside of the box and coming up with things that are going to mean something to your employees. And we do a lot of surveys. We ask our team members, what do you want? Ask our managers, what do you want? We do separate surveys for them because they want very different things. And, we can sit in our offices all day, every day and come up with ideas that we think they're going to like. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if we think they're going to like it. It only matters they actually like it and it means something to them. So, that asking for feedback and then giving them what they ask for, that goes a long way also towards goodwill and making sure you're not throwing effort and money at something that's not going to resonate with them.
That makes sense. Anybody else? All right, well, guys, thank you so much for your time, Zach and Natalie and Jodie. I mean, you guys always come in hot here. And Todd, I mean, you really make us think differently. So I really appreciate your input as well. And everybody dropped their information in the chat. So, and we'll also follow up. We also have this being recorded. So when you do receive the recording, feel free to share it with some other of your friends in the industry. With that, I'll turn it back to Heidi, who's probably just going to do a quick loft over to John Longstreet.
Yeah, I will. But first, I wanted something of note that you can post your open positions on the PRLA job board. So I'm going to drop some of that information in the chat box. And now I will kick it over to John Longstreet.
Thank you, Heidi, and thank you, Ben, and all the panelists for a great panel. I just have a couple of comments before I get into the quick legislative update, because I know the hour is growing short. But first, what Jodie's describing and taking care of your team members first is critical. You cannot exceed guest expectations until you exceed team member expectations. And Jodie and the Lehigh Valley Restaurant Group team have done a great job of that. The first time that this was put forth publicly was in 1997 in a book called The Service Profit Chain that I happen to have in front of me right here, that said that in order to exceed, first you have to have team member satisfaction that leads to guest satisfaction, leads to profitability. And I was part of the first study that actually proved it out in a couple of years later in a hotel chain, where we were able to connect employee satisfaction with guest satisfaction and profitability. The study done by Cornell and Wash U, and it was highlighted in a book called The Integrity Dividend. So if you don't believe in it's important to take care of employees, read the book and you'll learn that it is.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks, Pam. Thanks, Ben, John, panelists, and we'll see you next month, if not before.